Hey everyone, are you ready to be fired up? Because I sure am. I've got Shawn here. He actually is a young man that has had massive success. He actually has a podcast that is the #1 marketing podcast on iTunes, and he is the podcast person of the Digital Social Hour. So go check him out. I'm going to let you hear about his story. Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm good. It was fun having you on.
Oh, thanks for being here. Or I'm actually in your podcast room, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk to me a little bit about your journey. I mean, you have only been doing your podcast for a very short time, just a year, and you've had guests like Grant Cardone and all these many of other people that are very difficult to get in touch with, let's just say, but not you. I mean, you're a young entrepreneur making a lot of money, taking big, huge, bold risks, going out there, putting yourself out there. Can you talk to us a little bit about your journey and where you're at and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, I started my entrepreneurial journey pretty young. I was selling candy in school, did all the typical stuff entrepreneurs do. And then in college, I started my first business. At the time, e-commerce was hot. Mm-hmm. So I'm really good at capitalizing on trends, and e-commerce dropshipping, that was hot at the time. That's how I made my first 6 figures. And then from there, took it into B2B. Pandemic happened, so I was selling masks. So selling them to hospitals, government organizations.
Well, so let's I want to just hold back, because that seems like I was just selling, masks to hospitals. So let's kind of back up. So for those of you that don't know, e-commerce is like you're selling not digital products, but products online. So you'd buy products from somewhere, probably in China.
Yeah.
Right. And then you would resell them to other places. So, I mean, first of all, everybody was starting to sell masks, but you got them into hospitals. Like, tell me, how did you even know who to reach out to? Or, I mean, that's a big deal. It sounds easy to you, but it's not for most people.
Yeah, so first you need the product. So I had to find a supplier. So my mom's from China, so that wasn't too hard. She speaks Chinese. I think that'd probably be hard for most people, the language barrier, but for me, that came in handy. And then I used a site called Apollo.io. There's other sites, Rocket Reach, ZoomInfo. ZoomInfo costs a lot though, but there's databases. And it has every company and every company's employee's email. And then it even has their job title. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was going after procurement people because they're in charge of purchasing materials for the hospital, for the government, whatever organization. So I'd have the exact email of the end buyer, and then I would email them asking if they needed masks, gowns, gloves, whatever. I was able to do $20 million in B2B doing that.
Wow. And in such a short time frame.
In a year.
You did $20 million. So how did you come up with the capital to actually purchase the masks? I even back then I remember a lot of this material was getting stuck on the ships and all this stuff. How did you even come up with that is crazy, Shawn.
I stuck with my dropshipping roots. I purchased no capital. So crazy story. Everyone that purchased inventory during that time, not everyone, but a lot of people lost money because as the supply went down, they were stuck with inventory. So I'm glad I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. So you just would buy, tell us how you did it.
Drop shipping, or we had a authorized agreement with a 3M distributor at their time. So 3M provided net terms, so you wouldn't have to pay for 6 months. They would get the product.
Wow.
So
I want y'all to listen to this. Okay, so this is you were what, like 24 at the time, 23?
Yeah, I think 23.
23 at the time, did $20 million in 1 year by finding an opportunity, seizing it, not being afraid, and kind of like figuring out all the red tape.
Yeah.
So just from using like Apollo.io and these other various websites, finding someone's contact information and reaching out to them, like that's exactly how you got Grant Cardone on your show.
Exactly, yeah. I've done the same with the podcast. That's how I've gotten some of the biggest guests. You could use that site for anything you want.
Yeah. That's just so awesome. I mean, first of all, I always tell everyone, if somebody can do the thing, you have to tell yourself, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, I'm next. Like, if you can do it at your age, people can do anything. Okay. So before, so now you're like a super influential podcaster, the #1 marketing podcast in the world. And it's only been just over a year. So tell us what you did before that. Obviously, I know that you dropped out of college on purpose because you found, this great opportunity in e-commerce.
Yep.
But before the masks, you were selling something else. What were you selling beforehand?
For the masks, I was in crypto and NFTs. I'm trying to think if that was before or after. But no, I think it was jerseys to masks and then to crypto and NFTs.
So you were doing like jerseys.
Yeah.
And selling those.
Selling those. Our best year was 1.2 mil. At the time, that was a lot for me because I was 20, 21, 22. So money like that, it's crazy.
Did you take that's crazy, 1.2 million. Yes, absolutely. That's more than most people make in their like 10, 15 years of being in a job. So let's just put that into perspective. So I lost track of what I was going to say. I hate when I do
It
that.
was revenue, but still, it was crazy to do that in a year at that age.
Yeah. And were your parents just like flabbergasted?
Yeah. I mean, they probably wouldn't admit it, but like my mom didn't want me to drop out of college. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big debate.
Well, I know, especially, I mean, with your nationality too, being a doctor and all that is very like
Common.
dentist, doctor. It's very common. It's very, they push it on a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's funny. My daughter and I were just having a talk this morning on the way here. And she was talking about like, oh my gosh, her kid's in college. And I go, she doesn't have any kids yet. They're going to have some soon. And I said, Jane Lynn, your kids probably won't even go to college. But by the time your kids are going to be going to college, you probably won't even, like, college is so overrated. I went to college, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I feel bad saying it, but it's like people spend all this money to go to college, and they rarely use what they're going to college for. They have all this debt. It's like, it's insane, So, you found a skill that you were good at. You capitalized on it. You took the risk, and I mean, my gosh, $1 million+ in a year.
Yeah.
At 23, and then 20 million in a year.
Crazy.
Shawn, do you realize how crazy that is?
Yeah, looking back, it is a little crazy. In the moment, you're just grinding, nonstop, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day.
So you were working that much?
Yeah, for the first 5 years.
So what are you doing now? So tell me about how those skills transferred into, like, what made you decide to do podcasting? And by the way, go to the digitalsocialhour.com or on podcast, probably .com too, huh?
Yeah, digitalsocialhour.com.
Go look him up, give him a 5-star, give him a review, and give Shawn some love. So tell me, like, what kind of skills do you think transferred, or what made you decide to do a podcast? And for people that are out there right now that are like, that, they're afraid of taking risks. Most people are afraid, like they let fear get in the way.
Right.
So talk about that. But what was that transition?
Yeah, I had massive fear pushing social media content out for years, just afraid of being judged and comments and stuff. But podcasting was that final straw for me to just go out there and not care about opinions. And I'm so glad I did it. But I wouldn't even show my face on camera for years.
Really?
I was scared.
You were nervous.
I was nervous. I was scared of public speaking growing up because in school I hated it. And I thought I just didn't like teaching people because of the school topics I didn't care about. But now I love public speaking. I love podcasting. It's kind of ironic. I'm an introvert.
Yeah, I can tell, but I can't tell,
Yeah, I'm able to kind of switch it on and off.
Do the switch.
But when I get home after podcasting, I'm drained.
Oh, I bet. Like you're pouring into everybody else, like millions of people online, even though they're listening to you, it's still, you're pouring into them. It takes energy out of you.
Yeah, but I took the skills from cold email, cold DM. That's how I get 80% of my guests, 80% of my sponsors.
So I just want to just really stop for a second, because this works for anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I teach my students is to do like 10 video text messages a day. And you're saying that just so you get the DM, their phone numbers from like Apollo.io, you said?
Yeah, they have their numbers sometimes and their email,
And then you just DM them.
Yeah, DM on Instagram works the best. Some people DM on Twitter and Facebook. Those are decent for me. But I'd say email and Instagram DM for me are the top two.
So many people just delete stuff on email. So tell me, like, now you've got a value add, right? You've had these influential people on there. You're number one, but when you first started, you weren't. So talk about when you first, because I want people to relate this. Now, you might not want to do a podcast, but there's something that you want to do out there, everyone that's listening, right? And you have to kind of think outside the box, just like Shawn did. So talk to me about when you first started, because I'm sure you were thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. These people, why would they want to be in my podcast? I'm nobody. You think that way, right?
Yeah, I strategically didn't invite the biggest guests the first 6 months because I wanted to get better at interviewing, first of all. Second of all, I didn't have the numbers, to be honest. Like, they're probably going to say no.
Nobody does.
So I waited until we had some traction. The cool part about podcasting is you don't need a big guest to go viral. A lot of my most viral clips, if you go on my social media, people you never even heard of.
Yeah.
So I just grew my view count, follower count from that, and then started reaching out to bigger guests.
And what else did you do? Okay, so everyone, there's a strategy there. So what else did you do? Because I'm curious, like, to see, like, your main thing is just podcast. So it's like you're really niching in. That's your main focus. That's what you're doing. Like you said, you have 8 today. My gosh.
Yeah.
So that, and you think that's part of the reason too why you've been so successful?
Yeah, it's part of it. Consistency, posting 3 times a day for a year straight. You're bound to go viral at some point, and that's on each platform. So 3 on Instagram, 3 on TikTok, 3 on YouTube. So we have 50 million views on YouTube. I don't even know how many on Instagram, and then a lot on TikTok.
That is amazing. So are you taking your podcast and then you're video repurposing it, putting it onto you, and it's still performing that well? Yeah,
we have editors, and then we've tried the AI clips. They're not where I want them to be yet, but I could see it soon getting to that point.
Yeah, getting to that point, yeah. Well, you can just have to tweak them a little bit, depending on, it takes time. Man, that is just impressive. I got to say it's impressive. So I think that one of the things that for successful people that I've noticed, it's it's like it's consistency. Number one, right? What else would you say?
Timing. I'd say I caught the market at a great time. Any success I've had, timing's probably been like at least 25% of it, I'd say.
Well, why would you say that? I mean, I think part of the timing is just the fact that you did it.
Yeah, well, there was no one really big on like Instagram clips when I started. Like now we're probably almost the top podcast in the world on Instagram.
Wow.
So I think we just seized the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching you even more and just like learning from you. I love studying people that have done so well.
Yeah.
To see that.
And plus, in general, the podcast market is amazing for people promoting a book or course. There's people that go on whole tours when they launch a book.
Yes.
Like Dean's going on one and Tony. So you're able to just have a platform for them to go on.
Yes.
And I know people that have made 6 figures just off one podcast, selling a book or course.
Selling a book or course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So what do you have coming up? Like anything new in the future?
I'm having events. I know we were talking about that. I got one tomorrow in Salt Lake. I do a new city every month.
So tell me about the events. What are you doing there when you go?
It's a high-level networking event. Business owners doing $1 million or more in revenue to attend, and they can bring a guest. So it's 300 to 500 people at each one, and I'm just fostering a community. I've had 11 of them so far, and we're up to 8,000 people.
Wow. So how are you marketing those? Your podcast?
Podcast, organic, no ads.
That's so cool.
It's all guerrilla marketing, which is how I started.
So you're doing it at a place locally, 300 to 500 people. No offer yet, just networking.
No offer yet. The first offer wasn't even mine, but Damon John spoke at my last event, and he made 90 grand in 30 minutes. So
he did because he sold something.
He sold a mastermind. That got me thinking, okay, I need to think of something.
Yeah.
There's some money I'm leaving on the table. Probably $1 million.
Oh, for sure. I just told you about someone that I know that just did 10 million. He was like in 3 hours, $10 million from a podcast, just a regular guy like us. And he was on track to do 16 million.
Crazy.
But he had to stop it and that was from that was a live event, 3-day live event.
And how many people were there?
2,300.
Okay. So it's all numbers. Yeah.
It's all numbers. Well, you have the numbers. You've got a lot of people. But I will tell you this, the one thing I've learned is that not all influencers are influential. So the fact that you're actually, because you are an influencer, but you're also influential, because if you're going to these cities and having between 300 and 500 people shows that you're also influential.
And that's crazy to me. You're so right, because I know people that have millions of followers, but they can't fill up a room of 100.
Nope.
In New York City or Miami.
And they can't sell either.
A lot of them. I'd say 80%.
Most of them can't sell. Yeah. And these influencers, a lot of them not even making that much money. Well, I guess they do from like their sponsors and stuff like that. But it's like you can't even fill up a room. You're not even an influencer, but you can, which means that you could imagine if you just put a little bit of effort into it and actually learn to sell from stage.
Yeah.
What would you sell?
That's what I got to think of, because for me, it has to be valuable. I don't want refunds. I don't want upset customers.
Yes.
With the podcast, I've never had a single refund, which is amazing. And people are in the WhatsApp chat and they feel like they get a lot of value, which is cool to me.
So you're saying you've never had a single refund from the podcast. So you're selling...
People pay to come on.
Yes. Yeah, I know that. So I know that too well. I just did.
So they're happy because they get added to the WhatsApp chat, and there's 700 people in there that are previous guests, and there's been multi-million-dollar deals in there, and people learn a lot. There's some ballers in that chat. I don't know if you are active in it, but
I don't think I need to tell the team. I don't think they even know that, so I'll make sure I sign it before I leave today.
Cool.
That's so good. So you're paying people. I mean, think about it. Like today you're having 8 guests.
Yeah.
And then people are paying. Are you allowed to say or?
Yeah, 7.5K.
So they pay $700 to be on. Think about that, everyone. And he does this 3 times a week.
Yeah, we do 30 paid guests a month.
30 paid. Good for you.
Yeah, and then
Shawn.
the rest are like celebrities or super known people.
Yeah, so those ones they just come on and they
they promote. Yeah, it's a win-win because I get more followers and viewers.
Yeah, I want to encourage you to start thinking about doing a paid event. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean you'd crush it. And I'm like you want to give value. Like serve, not sell. The more value you give, the more you'll make. But I mean, and especially like people are looking for. I think they need younger people like your age that you can say you can do this. This can work for you, And it's like they aspire to be you, and people need someone to help them get. Like people want to say yes to themselves, but they have a really hard time, and they need someone like you to help encourage them to say yes to themselves. Like that's so. You could be so like the young Tony Robbins of your time.
Yeah, I am relatable to my generation, millennials.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on the tail end of that.
But I don't feel like a lot of millennials have the same work ethic as you. I'm not generalizing, but I have noticed that some of the millennials are like, we have to have a work-life balance, and it means mostly life balance.
Yeah,
not a lot of our work.
It's different. I think because of technology.
Yeah, it's different.
It's made life easy.
Yeah, but also, don't you think it's made life hard? Like there's so many things happening right now. Like I was just reading something about like the your generation has been so into their phones and their
Yeah.
face in the phones, and especially with these kids that went through high school during COVID and they lost so much of the social interaction. Like they don't know how to interact. I mean, you were saying how shy you were.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't know I'd interact for years.
Yeah.
I was super introverted, couldn't talk to a girl, couldn't even talk to guys at parties. I just didn't know how to do it.
Now you got girls coming out the woodwork, huh?
I get DMs a lot. It's super annoying because I'm in a relationship.
Oh, and they're still DMing you?
Yeah. Well, I keep it low key.
Yeah, to
So
keep the
she's not on
relationship
social
low-key.
media. Yeah, but we've been together for 6 years. We're engaged.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. But I
That's-
don't like to publicize relationships actually.
Yeah.
Because too much negative energy.
Too much negative energy, yeah. Or the opposite. You could be like, show how I think people need a good example. A lot of young people, because of like all these dating apps, right? Like they can just swipe left, you know?
Yeah.
And that they've forgotten what it's like to be in a true committed relationship, and that it can be a really good thing too.
Yeah, there's two ends. I've just seen so many public relationships end
Yeah,
up disastrous.
end
And
up
I think
bad.
part of it is just people energy. Like I'm big on energy.
Yeah.
I just think there's too many haters sending negative vibes to them.
Do you get a lot of that or no?
Hate. Mm-hmm. I get some. It's usually on the guest if it is on a clip or a podcast. But
They make
sometimes
fun of the guest.
I'm getting some right now on a guest I had on that was controversial.
Oh.
I've lost some followers. But
What was happening?
he said Bitcoin's going to zero, and I was getting a ton of hate. Some people blocked me.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's the first time that's happened actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, so a lot of what I teach people is to use social media, and they're kind of like you. I mean, they're afraid of doing it. I have a little older crowd too, and so a lot of women, and they're afraid of what they look like, what they sound like. They're going to be judged. They have imposter syndrome. So, like, it's really hard to get them to feel, confident. So, what are some of the things that you've done to help you kind of get out of your shell and to feel more confident and to go
Yeah.
from being introverted to kind of being comfortable on stage now and all the things you're doing?
I mean, that's a great question for me because I didn't even look in the mirror for 10 years. I had so
Why,
much.
you think?
I thought I was ugly and stuff.
You're so cute.
This girl told me, do you heard of this app called Uvu?
No.
Oh, it's like Skype, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But she told me I was ugly in 5th grade. So
Isn't it crazy how something like that can damage you so much?
Yeah.
Just from that,
So
you had
damaging.
trouble being in front of people.
yeah, so 10 years had massive identity issues.
So tell me how you got out of that? Because I have a lot of people that are still afraid, even though they're getting coached.
I think getting in a relationship finally helped. It was
Mm-hmm.
my first one ever. And that helped over time. But
Same girl?
same girl, yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, I've been in the same relationship my whole life. But yeah, that helped. And then in terms of getting on social media, it was kind of like, wow, I have money now. I don't need to be scared of what people are going to say because I just sold my marketing agency and then started the podcast. So I think that was holding me back.
So you think no, let's clarify that. So you think because you had money, you had more confidence, or because you weren't afraid of failing because you had money and you had something to fall back on?
Yeah, I'd say money and experience. So
Okay.
by then I had years of experience. I've had some successful companies. My network was pretty solid and I just felt confident that I could teach and provide value. I think some people get into teaching too early. I get ads of people in their teenage years with a course.
Experts.
Yeah, and that to me is like, you got to go through the ringer a little bit more.
You got to earn it.
Yeah, like make $1 million at least before you, or 6 figures, depends on who you're trying to teach, I guess.
I think $1 million.
You think $1 million?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because $1 million
And
these
it isn't
days,
even, honestly, it isn't even actually a money as much as it is time, because you can hit it big, but time is what really, in my opinion, like time is huge because, like you said, sometimes it's just could be timing, but when you can withstand different types of markets and ups and downs and be able to sort of, even when you failed and show people how you failed and how you came back, I think it's really important,
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and then I had to change my look. If you go back to my first podcast episode, I had yellow teeth. My sneakers were $20 beat up. I had like beat up pants and shirts and stuff, so I had to be more presentable.
Yeah. So you is that a perm?
What's a perm?
Like a curl hair on purpose, or is that your curly hair?
Oh no, this is my hair.
Oh, that's your hair.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a cute look.
Got my hair better. Yeah, started using oil pulling for my teeth. I had super yellow teeth.
So smile. Oh, they're great.
They're decent now,
So
yeah.
what's oil? Mine are fake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go back and look at the issues.
Veneers?
I have I had 3 years of my teeth falling out. I had a bad
Dang.
doctor. It was like I just spent over $125,000 to get my mouth fixed.
Holy crap.
It was
I couldn't even tell those were fake.
Oh yeah, well they're so white,
Yeah, usually with veneers I could tell.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, yours. You can't tell that you've had yellow ones. So what's the
Really?
oil pulling?
It's coconut oil. You just use it every day for 15 minutes.
Coconut oil. That's it, huh?
Yeah, just swish it in your mouth and it fixed all my yellow teeth.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So just coconut oil.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need it, but
No, mine are fake. Yeah, I'll show you some pictures. You'll be like, oh my god, like that could be a whole nother podcast show. All right, so getting over video was just like because you kind of had something to fall back on and you just tried. I mean,
and repetitions.
And repetition. Yeah. Okay. So you felt, when you changed your look, you felt more confident. What about people that maybe are overweight or, you know, I have a lot of people, I have an accent or I'm overweight or I'm new. Yeah. I'm new at what I'm doing. So I'm afraid, like a lot of coaches, experts, right? We teach them to go on social media. A lot of real estate agents, they're new or they're just entering the market or change or transitioning. What would you say about that?
I mean, let's be honest. You're going to suck at first with whatever you do, whether it's podcasting, business, sports. So I was terrible my first 25 episodes. And you just get better with reps and study the greats, study the top podcasts, study whatever top experts are in your industry.
Yes.
So that for me helped a ton. I was watching podcasts for 10 years. So I kind of felt like I already had an edge, but even still with that, you got to actually do it. And I was terrible.
Yeah.
So with the accent thing, I mean, that's tough. I don't know if it's possible to train your accent.
I think accents are sexy. I like the way they sound. I'm always like, I love how you sound, but people have it's always something. I have a big nose. I'm too heavy. I'm too thin. I'm too tall. I'm too short. Like they always have something, you know, and that they worry about because people can be really cruel.
I mean, I hated my voice for the longest. When I hear my voice on video, I used to cringe.
I still cringe at mine. Now I've got this allergy, so I hate the way I sound. I always sound like a raspy old lady.
Yeah.
You know,
but I've never had a single comment about my voice. So it's all like
it's in your own head.
It's in your own head, yeah.
So you don't really struggle anymore. Like you said, you had some identity issues. You were insecure. Not now.
Yeah. Still a little bit, but it used to be way worse. Like now I can go in a room and feel confident to talk to people. I think that comes with the experience, the reps, just providing value. But it takes time to get there for sure.
Takes time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good to see. I want people to know like there's hope. You can get better. You have to practice, repetition, and failure. I mean, it doesn't sound like you failed much, but I'm sure you have.
I failed, yeah. I've lost tens of millions.
So tell me how.
Crypto.
Okay, so just fine.
Yeah, crypto. And even PPE, like even though we did 20 million, I should have made way more money.
So PP is?
The masks.
Oh, the mask.
Yeah,
okay.
Personal protection equipment, I think that's what it stands for.
So, but to say that you should have made way more, why?
Well, the margins in B2B are thin, first of all. Second of all, I was paying a lot for those databases and other expenses. So I actually barely made any money on that 20 million, but I learned the skill of cold email. So that to me was worth it.
Hey, so you could, I mean, you would not believe, like Amy Porterfield, she teaches, I think, email marketing, right? You could, there's so many things you could teach: email marketing, you could teach podcasting. The only other person that I know that's teaching podcasting well is John Lee Dumas, Podcaster's Paradise.
Crushing it.
Yeah, he's crushing it. Yeah, I mean, so you have a lot of ads on your podcast that go on?
Yeah, I actually modeled my business model after him.
Did you?
For the paid guests. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he makes $2 million a year for 8 years straight.
He should make more than that.
Well, that's only off the podcast, right? I don't know about the course.
Yeah, I've been telling him to like he needs to do a virtual event, but he doesn't want to. Like that guy's on vacation all the time.
Yeah, he's in Puerto Rico now.
And he's every time I talk to him, I'm like, "Are you on vacation again, John?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you ever work?"
And he films only remote, right?
He's awesome.
Only digital, so it's scalable.
Yeah, he actually, when I won the Tony Robbins Knee Graziasi lunch, I hired him the first year. We got second place. I hired him to coach me because he had won like a couple times in a row.
Wow.
Another thing of hiring the person, right? So you could do that. Think about all the things you've done to hire. And we talked about this on your podcast. Again, guys, Digital Social Hour is this podcast. Go check it out. Especially if you're younger, because you kind of attract a younger crowd.
Very young.
It
might be the youngest in the business space.
The youngest in the business space. Yeah. It's just really incredible what you've done. Okay. So I always end every podcast. First of all, anything I didn't ask that you think you should talk about or say?
No, that was fun. We got through a little bit of everything.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always end with one question, and that is, if you could give one piece of advice, whether it's business, personal, whatever it would be, what would that advice be?
Oh, so for me, I wasted a ton of time trying to do everything on my own the first 4 years. Didn't have a mentor, wasn't learning from other people. I was just in my own world, and I was so stagnant, you know what I mean? So I think either get a mentor or shadow someone. That'll save you years.
So true. So what about someone that's like, I can't afford it? Like, I mean, I feel like the best advice is you can't afford not to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you wasted 4 years.
YouTube University, worst case scenario, but really in person is where I would recommend people. So work for free, intern.
Work for free. Did you do that?
I wanted to. I still have the email I sent to Gary Vee. I offered to work for free. And now he's coming on the podcast next month.
Ah, that's awesome.
Everything comes full circle.
Look at you. Look at you. That's awesome. Well, okay, so persistency is key. You know, you got to keep on going in life. Don't give up. Don't be afraid to fail. Get out of your comfort zone. You had said so many, and hire a mentor or work for free.
Absolutely.
Shawn, how can people get in touch with you?
Instagram's the best. Shawn Mike Kelly. I check all my DMs there.
So do me a favor. Spell the last name.
Kelly.
So Shawn.
Sean, Mike, Mike, Kelly.
Perfect. Okay, you guys heard it from there. I hope you were just as fired up as I am. Shawn, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And remember, everyone, knowledge is not power. Implementation is. So I'll see you on the next Fired Up.
Peace.
Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.